Have you ever had a boss who looked at you like you were some kind of criminal? Someone who stepped into a perfectly functioning machine and decided that he was the only one smart enough to run it? Well, let me tell you about Kevin. Kevin was a corporate parasite who decided that I couldn't be trusted with the company credit card. He wanted absolute power over every single penny we spent. So I gave him exactly what he asked for. And in the process, I made him the laughing stock of the entire company and ruined the most important networking event of his life. My name is Ethan, and I'm the lead technician for a highly specialized industrial firm. We handle heavy machinery repairs. I'm talking massive multi-million-dollar equipment. In this line of work, parts are expensive, and they're often custom ordered. Time is literally money. When a client's factory line goes down, every hour costs them tens of thousands of dollars. For years, our system was incredibly simple. It ran on mutual trust and efficiency. I'd send a quick email to my old manager saying something like, "Hey, we need a $4,000 hydraulic seal for the Miller account." He'd reply with a one-word email, "Approved." I'd order the part, the machine got fixed, the client paid us handsomely, and everyone was happy. Then our old manager retired, and corporate sent us Kevin. God, just saying his name leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Kevin was an efficiency consultant who got promoted to director of operations. He had never touched a wrench in his life. He had soft, manicured hands and wore bespoke suits to a shop floor that smelled like diesel and hydraulic fluid. Kevin looked down on all of us. He thought guys in coveralls were inherently lazy, or worse, that we were skimming off the top. He wanted to make his mark. He wanted to show corporate that he was reining in the unauthorized spending of the blue-collar workers. After his first week, Kevin called a meeting. He announced that email approvals were for lazy people. From now on, to curb unauthorized spending, every single requisition, regardless of the cost, required a physical, ink-on-paper signature, and not just any paper. It had to be printed on a specific 3-page document called Form 402, and it had to be hand-delivered to his office on the 3rd floor. He stood there, smirking in his expensive suit, acting like he had just revolutionized the industry. I tried to be the voice of reason. I raised my hand and said, "Kevin, this is a bad idea. We are a high-volume shop. On a busy Monday, I might order 40 different items ranging from $5 bolts to $10,000 engine blocks. If I have to walk up to your office for every single one, nothing is going to get fixed." Kevin looked at me like I was an insect. He crossed his arms and said, "If it's not signed by me, in person, the company isn't paying for it. No exceptions. I don't care if it's a nickel or a grand. I want to see every single request that crosses your desk." I stared at him for a long moment. Every single request. I realized right then and there that Kevin didn't quite grasp what every request actually meant. In a heavy machinery shop, a single engine rebuild might require 100 different individual parts. I used to batch my orders. I'd put everything we needed for the week onto one spreadsheet, or handle the small stuff, like washers, lubricants, and safety goggles, through a general shop fund. It saved hours of administrative work. But Kevin wanted to play God with his Form 402S. So I decided I was going to make him a very, very busy deity. Monday morning rolled around. Instead of batching my needs into one concise list, I treated every single individual component as a separate vital requisition. Need 10 specific heavy-duty bolts. That's one 3-page form. Need a bottle of industrial degreaser. That's another form. Need a replacement light bulb for the mechanic's break room. You better believe that's a Form 402. By 10 a.m., I had a stack of 64 individual requisition forms. They were heavy. I walked up 3 flights of stairs to the executive offices and strolled into Kevin's pristine workspace. Kevin was on a conference call, leaning back in his leather chair, I stood there, patiently waiting. When he finally hung up, he looked annoyed. I dropped the massive stack of paper onto his glass desk with a loud thud. "What is this?" he snapped. I smiled. "The requisitions for the morning. You said you wanted to see every single request. I need these signed so I can get the shop running." He glared at me, but he had trapped himself. He couldn't back down now. He picked up his expensive fountain pen and started signing. It took him 20 solid minutes because he insisted on reading every single line item to prove a point. The second he handed the stack back to me, I thanked him, walked downstairs, and handed the forms to the purchasing clerk. An hour later, I was back in Kevin's office with 15 more forms. Every time I needed a spark plug, a zip tie, or a rag, I filled out a Form 402 and marched up those stairs. By Tuesday afternoon, he was visibly agitated. His trash can was overflowing with carbon copies, and his hand was cramping. Whenever I entered his office, he'd let out this dramatic sigh. But I just played dumb. "Just following the rules, boss." By Wednesday, the fallout truly began, because I was spending half my day walking back and forth to his office and waiting outside his door while he finished meetings just to get his precious signatures. The actual repair work on the floor slowed to a crawl. Our mechanics were standing around drinking coffee, waiting for parts. 3 major clients called the front desk to ask why their machines weren't ready. When the accounts managers came down to yell at me, I just showed them the new policy. "My hands are tied," I told them. "I'm waiting on Kevin's signature." But the absolute breaking point happened on Friday. It was 4:45 p.m. A local manufacturing plant suffered a massive, catastrophic failure. Their entire assembly line went down, costing them thousands of dollars a minute. They brought us a $200,000 industrial pump that was completely seized. My crew tore it apart and found the problem. We needed a specific heavy-duty O-ring to seal the primary valve. It cost exactly $12, but we didn't have it in stock. Under the old rules, I would have just driven to the industrial supply store down the street, bought it with the company card, and got the pump running. But under Kevin's absolute no exceptions rule, I couldn't, and there was a problem. Kevin had already left the office at 4 p.m. to attend a highly exclusive black tie networking dinner hosted by the Regional Chamber of Commerce. It was an event he had been bragging about for weeks. The client's representative was sweating bullets in my shop, begging me to fix the pump. I put on my best sympathetic face and said, "I'm sorry, I literally don't have the authorization to purchase this $12 part until the paperwork is physically signed off by the director of operations." The client was furious. He didn't yell at me though. He pulled out his phone and directly called our company's CEO. The CEO was at home, enjoying his Friday evening, when he got an earful from one of our biggest accounts about a multi-million-dollar operation being stalled over a $12 piece of rubber. The CEO immediately called Kevin. I don't know exactly what was said, but the purchasing clerk later told me that Kevin tried to say he'd handle it first thing Monday morning. The CEO absolutely lost it. He told Kevin to get his behind back to the office right now, or he wouldn't have a job on Monday. It was a 45-minute drive from the country club back to our shop. I sat in the break room sipping a cold soda, waiting. Finally, the door to the shop floor banged open. In walked Kevin. He was wearing a ridiculously expensive tuxedo, complete with a bow tie. He was sweating profusely, his face beet red, and his perfectly slicked hair was a mess. He had to walk past all my mechanics, who were openly grinning at him. He stormed up to me, snatching the clipboard out of my hand. He aggressively scribbled his signature on the Form 402 for a $12 O-ring, shoved it into my chest, and practically ran back out to his car. We got the pump fixed an hour later. The very next morning, a company-wide memo went out from the CEO's office. It read, "Effective immediately, Digital approvals via email are reinstated for all items under $5,000. Form 402 is officially retired. Kevin still works here, but he doesn't look at me anymore when I walk past his office. His spirit is completely broken, but I still like to have a little fun. I still make sure to bring him a physical form for anything over $5,001, and I always make sure to wait until he's right in the middle of a very important lunch before I ask for his autograph. After all, he wanted to see every request.